Hi, this is your latest Hurricane Tracker app video update. Today we'd like to start off over here in the eastern Pacific Basin where we are watching Tropical Storm Cosme still moving off to the west-northwest, and it is beginning to quickly weaken as it is interacting with much cooler waters there over the eastern Pacific Basin. And if we flip over to the satellite imagery here, you could see it's beginning to lose a lot of its deeper convection, and the center is becoming really elongated, and those are two very good signs, of course, that the system is beginning to weaken as it continues to move out over here over the cooler waters of the eastern Pacific Basin. Back over to the eastern Pacific, the National Hurricane Center is still watching this area of disturbed weather a few hundred miles south-southwest of Acapulco. Right now conditions are not that favorable for development, but they may become more favorable over the next day or two. Over here in the Atlantic Basin, no tropical cyclone activity is expected over the next 48 hours. And in fact, we do have a couple of waves that are pretty vigorous for this time of year. We have one here north of the Leeward Islands and another wave down here east of South America, which is actually showing a little bit of vorticity in the lower atmosphere. But the reason these systems are not developing is due to some high-level wind shear located here across the central Atlantic. This is the latest wind shear tendency analysis, and the darker the color, the higher the wind shear. So here's Puerto Rico right here, and we have a system located in this area and a system located down here, and you can see this is a quite a large area of very unfavorable upper level winds. So as long as this is persisting, we're not expecting anything to happen out here in the eastern Atlantic Basin. Now, as we get into next week, a couple of the computer models, the American GFS as well as the Canadian CMC, are still showing weak development. And right now, our forecast through July 4th is there's a medium chance of development. So there's some potential that something could develop as we get into the middle to latter parts of next week. But again, it's not a guarantee by any means. The GFS American model is still showing a very weak area of low pressure, maybe just barely a tropical depression forming sometime the middle parts of next week, and slowly moving northwest towards the central Mexican Gulf coastline. The ECMWF, the European model, which is one of the more heavily favored models, is still not showing any development. And the other model, the third model we watch here at Hurricane Tracker, is the CMC Canadian model. And it's still developing an area of low pressure here just west of the Florida Peninsula, July 1st, and wants to bring it northeast as a tropical depression into the eastern portions of the Florida Panhandle as we get into July 2nd. Right now, we're not heavily favoring this model, as this seems like a very unlikely scenario at this point. If anything does happen, it looks like we may have a weak system develop here in the southernmost portions of the Bay of Campeche. But again, here at the Hurricane Tracker app, we'll keep you updated, and we may not know more information as to what may happen next week, if anything, until this Sunday. Before we let you go today, we wanted to take a look at the latest seasonal outlook here from the Hurricane Tracker app. We've spent many hours this week looking over a lot of the long-range climate models, and some of them are actually pretty good in looking at long-term patterns where high pressures are located, maybe where the lowest pressures in the atmosphere will be situated. And using that information, we're able to depict this map here below, where we are forecasting the Bermuda high pressure, which is normally located here over the eastern Atlantic. This year it looks to be located more towards the western Atlantic. Now, the further west that this high pressure ridge extends, the more blocking in the atmosphere that would happen, meaning a lot of these systems that we've seen over the past few years would not be able to recurve as frequently out to sea as they have been. Now, we're not saying that every storm is going to move south of this high and move here into the southeastern United States, but more frequent than past seasons, we do expect more systems to interact with land here over the eastern Gulf of Mexico as well as the southeastern portions of the United States. So that's how it's looking at this point. Again, it's no guarantee. We can't predict one single storm for any specific spots, But down in this region, the southeastern United States, all of Florida and the north central and eastern Gulf Coast, looks like this year you could have a higher than average opportunity of receiving a landfall from a hurricane. We'll be back with another video update as conditions warrant. Thank you so much for using the Hurricane Tracker app, and have a great day, everybody.